Hey, yo, what's good, guys? Hang on. What's good, guys? Welcome back to UFC Vegas 101 super early predictions. Amanda Ribas versus Mackenzie Dern. I'm going to be breaking down the entire card, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event of the evening. And bear with me, guys, because I know this is not one of the best cards that you guys want to see. So let's talk about what happened on the last card of 2024. Colby Covington was easily robbed. Doctor stoppage. If it wasn't for that doctor stoppage and that, Buckley's long nails, he ended up cutting Colby Covington because Buckley doesn't cut his nails. So if it wasn't for that bad cut, Colby would have won that fight. Swanson versus Cortillo. Cortillo can't move his head at all. Gets hit with the same shot every single round. Goes for an explosive takedown with 10 seconds left. Just to waste his energy. Almost like an Aljamain Sterling type. Just slam takedown just to prove a point. Just to waste your energy to lose the fight. So, Cortillo, I will never pick you again, my buddy. Cortillo and Bill Alger are like the same guy. You can just knock him out with a kiss. Petrino versus Jacoby. Petrino is fraud checked, officially done. Got submitted by guillotine. Anthony Smith and Jacoby knocked him out. That is embarrassing. I don't have to say anything about that. And Tavares survived that shootout for absolutely nothing. He lost that fight against Davey Grant. Does not throw any kicks at all. I don't know what I was thinking. And Josephine Knudsen. There's a lot of people who like to rub it in your face, though, I will say. So be careful, guys, because when you do this, I was watching Mike Finch's thing, and some guy was like, thank you for your Tavares pick. Why you on my dick? Why are you on my dick, bro? Lock of the week cashed all the way home. Joel Alvarez inside the distance. Come on, shut up. Let's go. Let's talk about UFC Vegas 101. Mackenzie Dern versus Amanda Ribas. I will say, though, guys, Davey Grant is an absolute vet. Had one of the best performances of all time. So, if you get a pick wrong, guys, it happens. It happens. Keep the ball rolling. Keep going. Keep pushing. Keep it pushing. There will be some people who try to rub it in your face. But just look at their Tapology belt. See if they have a good Tapology belt or not. All right, so let's go. Let's go. We're going to be breaking down the entire card. 14 fights, I believe. Mackenzie Dern, Amanda Ribas as the main event, 5 rounds. I would have preferred if it was 3 rounds, but it happens. Very excited for Chris Curtis versus Roman Kopylov, Thiago Moises versus Trey Ogden, and by far one of my most anticipated fights, Andreas Gustafsson versus Preston Parsons. Andreas Gustafsson, successful Dana White Contender Series debut, and he's going to be making his UFC debut against Preston Parsons, a guy who just consistently keeps on shooting over and over again. I will say, though, guys, this card is very lackluster. Austin Bashi's pretty good. Santiago Ponzinibbio, pretty good fight. But the Kopylov fight is probably the best fight on this entire card. So let's go. Victoria Dudakova versus Fatima Kline. This is going to be one of those fights where it's going to be, if you get the pick wrong, people will be coming back. But I will say, though, guys, Fatima Kline just recently lost her first fight. She got her first loss to Jasmine Davicius, which was a pretty competitive fight. I chose Fatima Kline in that fight. And Victoria Dudakova just recently lost to Sam Hughes by split decision. I guess you could say it was a little bit more competitive. Fatima's win over Natasha has aged very, very well. Now that Natasha is LFA multiple-time defending champion. So, this win right here over Natasha, her decision win over Natasha Kuzitina. She's an LFA champion now, so multiple-time defending LFA champion. So this is by far one of her best wins and has aged like a fine wine. I will say she comes from New York as well. She's 24 years old. She's very young. 67-inch reach, 5'6". She has pretty short arms for her. I mean, it's all the division. All the division's going to have short arms. Dudakova goes straight forward, works her grappling, solid BJJ, and we know the odds fluctuate. So by the time it's already fight week, the odds might be already juiced. Blast double. Dudakova's just going to look for that blast double decent. She's coming off of that loss to Sam Hughes where the pace and cardio didn't end up in her favor. Taking on Fatima Kline, a hard wrestler, manages range very well, looks for strikes on the ground, looks for subs, great cardio. Coming off of that short notice loss to Jasmine where she lost that fight by decision. Kline is the pick. She's probably going to be a massive favorite, I believe. I'm not going to look at the odds because they tend to fluctuate my picks. And she lost to Jasmine because of her wrestling. Dudakova wants to take this fight to the ground. If she can control her, there's a blueprint for her, Dudakova, to win. I will say, though, I saw Knudsen. We all saw Knudsen, right? We all saw Josephine Knudsen lose to Pierre Rodriguez, and we all expected an undefeated, accomplished kickboxer to win that fight. and she ended up getting her first loss. So that's the same thing that happened with Fatima Kline. She ended up getting her first loss when we all expected her to win, and now she's in bounce back season. So we're gonna see if she can make it. If there's a plus 3.5 for Victoria Dudakova, maybe she can win a round. But I will be saying Fatima Kline is the pick, and I'm gonna go Fatima Kline by decision. I did this last time when she fought against Jasmine Davicius, but unfortunately she wasn't able to win that fight. I'm gonna go Fatima Kline. She's probably a massive favorite. Mine minus 400 already. Let's go New York. And I want to say that Victoria Dudakova doesn't have the best takedown selection. I know majority Tapology is going Dudakova. This is gonna be one of those fights where we can't trust Fatima Kline no more because of her takedown defense. So if you want to go with Fatima Kline, you can, but at your own risk. 1-800-GAMBLER type of fight. Nothing wrong with skipping the fight as well. So Fatima Kline is going to be the pick if she can keep this fight standing. 29-28. Let's go. Austin Bashi. This guy is an undefeated prospect, making his UFC debut against C-Rod, the prospect killer. This is going to be one of those fights where an absolute barn burner. The prospect killer versus one of the most anticipated prospects, Austin Bashi. 23 years old, undefeated, good, well-rounded mixed martial artist. Wrestler at heart, works for takedown, goes for subs. Sometimes taking on C-Rod, the upset king. Slick, smooth striker with great takedown defense at a 65% rate. Good takedown defense at 65%. And has been taken down 21 times. But the reason why I'm going to say this is good takedown defense is because in the bantamweight division, he was destroying everyone. Now at 145, it seems like it's a little bit of a harder challenge. He beat Bulgarian, Cameron Simon, and C-Rod would miss weight and get some wins by weight bullying. Most recently, lost to Juliana Rosa. C-Rod always gets fed to the grapplers. Isaac gassed so hard against C-Rod. C-Rod was on the point towards the end. Okay, so C-Rod was on point towards the end of that fight, stayed in that fight, but Austin had okay, so when we look at Austin, he has an amazing gas tank that I do not think he will make the same mistake as Isaac Bulgarian. Honestly, I think Austin Bashi can win by decision. I think this is going to be a very important fight to keep on the feet, but you also have to mix it up because it's mixed martial arts. And we saw Arosa have a lot of success. Honestly, I think Austin Bashi should be able to win this fight, but this submission guillotine choke, I did pick C-Rod against Juliana Rosa because with Juliana Rosa and Billy Cortillo, you never know what you're going to get. It's a mystery box. These guys win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. But C-Rod was very consistent, so I went C-Rod to win over Juliana Rosa, but the featherweights are a lot bigger than the bantamweights, so Juliana Rosa was able to submit him, I believe, in the first round and absolutely demolish him in the first round. Yep, 4 minutes and 49 seconds. If he had a bigger lung capacity, he could have lasted 10 more seconds. But he ended up tapping to that submission. I believe it was a I'm not sure. Was it guillotine? Guillotine choke. Yep, he jumped on that. Billy, I believe, I'm not sure, but Juliana Rosa is just that dude. He was entering his flow state in that whole round, jumped on the guillotine, and had success. I'm going to go Austin Bashi. I don't think he's going to make the same mistakes as Isaac Bulgarian. He should be able to keep this fight on the feet. I mean, also he's a grappler too. He's a grappler, and he's a grappler that can control his cardio. He is going to be smaller, and he's going to have a 1-inch reach disadvantage. 23 years old as well, making his UFC debut. So be careful when you're betting on these guys making their UFC debut. I'll take Austin Bashi moneyline, undefeated prospect. Let's go Austin Bashi. Maybe by submission or on points. I don't think the KO is likely. Both of these guys are not going to finish anybody by KO. Although they have, but submissions is Austin Bashi's game. So submission or on points. I'll take Austin Bashi by submission or on points, and I'll just take moneyline. Let's go. Aliev versus Yanal Ashmouz. And Yanal Ashmouz is a guy who everybody overlooks, or me, I overlook a lot of the time. And then this guy ends up having very good performances. Aliev, a dominant wrestler, competing since he was a kid, plus forward, chain wrestles very well, and works. Looks for the right time to shoot a takedown. Very patient, has an excellent jab. His most recent fight he won against Rafael Alves, where a point was deducted for Aliev. Aliev bit Alves. So that was a little bit weird. Taking on Yanal, a great technician, spin kicks, that wrestles very good base, on top control, strong powerhouse, coming off of that grapple win over Trevor Peek, where many of us had Trevor Peek, including myself, and I believe I had him in my 6 best bets. Yanal has won as an underdog twice in his UFC debut against Sam Patterson, and also in the fight against Trevor Peek as well. Yanal is probably the dog for the 3rd time, and he probably might get this underdog win for the 3rd time. I will say, though, Yanal's lost to Chris Duncan. Maybe Aliev can take some notes. Aliev is an undefeated fighter, but he's very inactive. Comes from Guerrilla. Guerrilla Fighting was an organization that he competed in, but 5 years, 3 months ago, that's almost a red flag. Shows the inactivity. Then went from Eagle FC to Dana White Contender Series. Had a successful Dana White Contender Series, and then a successful UFC debut. I don't know how he managed to win that, but he managed to win that. Yanal is overlooked again, and the fact that this guy has cashed as a dog twice, and he looked pretty good against Trevor Peek. I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to win again. I do not want to overlook a guy like Yanal, and I want to say the over 2.5 is very likely. I don't think Aliev's going to be able to knock him out. I think this fight goes the distance, and I'm going to be picking Aliev. Very low confidence, but I'm going to go Aliev, and I'm going to go Aliev to mix in the takedowns, get some good scrambling, get some good chain wrestling going, control him for a couple of rounds, win the first and third round after losing the second round, and win by 29-28, unanimous decision. Should be a close fight, but that's a fight that there's nothing wrong with skipping. Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Carlston Harris. This is another banger fight. Honestly, I think this fight goes over 2.5 as well. Ponzinibbio, Spanish commentary king. He does very well, very, very well when he's on the desk. Hopefully, when he retires, he continues to work on the desk. He stays in the pocket sometimes for too long, though, in my opinion. Has good volume and pressure coming off that close loss to Salikov, who we know just won by spinning kick recently. Amazing. Salikov is that guy and will always be that guy. Recently, Ponzinibbio took Salikov, so he took him down twice, I believe, recently. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Ponzinibbio took Salikov down twice, but he struggled. Carlston Harris is a good grappler looking to snatch your neck. Good wrestling, body locks, trips, works. Coming off of that KO loss to Chaos Williams, he's a dogfight. This is a dogfight. This is Battle of the Vets. Good barn burner. I'll pick the dog, Ponzinibbio, to beat Carlston. He was in a competitive fight with Salikov, who we know is a beast, but he might get taken down and wrapped up. So I give both of their deficiencies, and then I give both of their excellencies. I want to mention that on Tapology, majority Tapology is picking Harris, but I'm going to be picking Ponzinibbio. I really like the way he looked against Alex Moreno. Obviously, it was very competitive, and you could say that he was losing that fight up until that KO. And the fact that he only has one win in his last 5 looks like a massive red flag. And when you just look at the records, you can easily say, oh, he beat Jeremiah Wells, he beat Jared Gooden, he beat Impa Kasaga, who we know Buckley had a famous KO over. I'll go Carlston Harris is what a lot of people will say just based off of Tapology, based off of everything. But when we go on vets and we go on consistently performing, obviously he's consistently able to win, but the amount of competition, obviously he fought Shavkat as well. So maybe what I'm about to say is a little of a hot take, but I will say that Santiago Ponzinibbio has been able to hang in there with the tougher, more elite echelon of the competition. And let's say we exclude Shavkat Rakhmonov because Shavkat was able to actually finish Carlston Harris by spinning hook kick to ground strikes. So that wasn't competitive at all. But against Jeff Neal, decision split. Against Michel Pereira, decision split. Alex Moreno, very competitive, won in the third round, I believe, by KO. Kevin Holland lost by KO. That's fine. Everybody loses to Kevin Holland sometimes when they're fed to him. And then Muslim Salikov, which we now know Salikov is that dude that after what he was able to do. This is going to be a very -100 gambler type of fight. Welterweight division is a little bit sketchy now, so you gotta have to mix it up. You can't get away with just grappling heavy at welterweight anymore. So I believe a guy like Carlston Harris is going to be forced to strike with Santiago Ponzinibbio, and I believe the Argentinian dagger should be able to get this job done. So I'll take the underdog, and I'll take him to win by unanimous decision. I'll just take money line. I'll sprinkle on the dog, and I'm going to be taking the over 2.5 for this fight, unless it crashes and burns if Carlston Harris is able to get a submission. But majority Tapology is not thinking it's going to get a submission. If there is a finishing aside, it's probably Ponzinibbio by KO. Let's go. This card is sketchy, guys. This card is a bunch of spike traps everywhere. Jose Johnson versus Felipe Bunes. Johnson, the longest flyweight Muay Thai, or the longest flyweight I've ever seen. Muay Thai at heart, 71-inch reach at 125 pounds, which we know typically sometimes if you're too tall for flyweight, it doesn't always work in your favor. He controls the censor very, very well. Good range, good teep kicks, clinch, very good clinches, and disengages the clinch very well. Then boxes. Very bad takedown defense, but good BJJ coming off of that heavy grappling loss to Asu Amabayev, who we know is a future flyweight prospect, taking on Felipe, a BJJ black belt. Just like Felipe Lima, looking for a sub always. He doesn't pull guard, scraps, strikes very well, good straights into overhands. If you take Felipe down, he throws a bunch of submissions off his back. He lost his UFC debut to Joshua Van, took down Van, but got cracked. Jose Johnson has terrible takedown defense. This is a minus 1-800 gambler fight. Nothing wrong with skipping this barn burner and just enjoying the fight. I do think the majority of this fight stays on the feet, so I'll pick Johnson. I will say a lot of people are on Felipe. When we look at typology, 14%. He is a guy who's fairly new to the UFC, making unsuccessful UFC debut against Joshua Van. And we know Cody Durden was able to win the first round as well. So if you're able to take down Joshua Van, that doesn't necessarily mean you're able to take down Jose Johnson. But a guy like Jose Johnson, who's really tall for his division at 6'1", 6 foot, this guy is probably going to be the easiest stick to take down, like from a mile away. But I will say, Felipe Bunes is not that good at all. With a record of 13-7, there's a lot of deficiencies in his game, considering he just lost by KO, ground and pound by Joshua Van. And that was almost a year ago. So Joshua Van is a lot way better than what he used to be. So I believe Jose Johnson should be able to get this job done. Very low confidence. He has to keep this fight on the feet. If he gets taken down, he's probably going to get controlled for the entire round because his get-up game is not good. And we saw against Asu Amabai, if he lost by decision, he was able to hang in there, not get finished. So I guess he's the younger fighter as well, 29 years old. If this fight's forced to stay on the feet, which I believe it should be the majority of the fight, Felipe is going to have a tough time with that reach. Does teep kicks to the body. And I believe Jose Johnson should be able to win this fight by unanimous decision. Very low confidence, though, guys. Be careful with these types of fights because these types of fights are the ones that you don't have to bet. So I'll go Jose Johnson to win this fight by 29-28. My head itches. Unanimous decision. Let's go. It's going to be a banger fight. Andreas Gustafsson, by far one of my most anticipated fights. Prospect in the making. A guy who I think we all consider, or maybe not yet, but I think we all consider this guy a pretty good guy. Like, he's pretty good, and he has some pretty good power, in my opinion. But I will say, though, with Preston Parsons, I just want to see Preston Parsons get knocked out, to be honest. And I think many of us do. Because Preston Parsons just has boring fights. And maybe this is an argument or maybe this is a hot take, but Preston Parsons is always in a position where he's always shooting, especially in his Oban Aliev fight where he's shooting relentlessly and he doesn't get the takedown and he's just shooting and he's not mixing it up as well. And he's shooting telegraph takedowns because he's gassed and he's just trying to get the fight to the ground and has no skill whatsoever. Let's break it down. Gustafsson comes from Dana White Contender Series. Gustafsson, solid grappler, good wrestling skills. Good 1-2, backs you up for a takedown. Once down, looks for subs, good power, taking on Preston Parsons, another very good wrestler. He has 9 subs in 11 wins. BJJ, black belt, sets up takedowns, but once he's tired, he looks very, very sloppy. If he can't take you down, he loses in most of his fights. Against Oban Elliott, he got the takedown and still lost. Terrible at holding someone down. He's terrible at maintaining top control. Both of these guys are sloppy. Andreas has a puncher's chance, and if he keeps it on the feet, he should win. I'll go Andreas Gustafsson to have a successful UFC debut. Let's hope he defends a sloppy telegraph takedowns from Preston. Although they're very sloppy and telegraphed, we have to admit that these takedowns are relentless. So as long as you're getting the job done, as long as you're consistently shooting, eventually you'll probably get him down once. But I am going to go Gustafsson by KO, and I'm going to go Gustafsson. I'm going to take Andreas Gustafsson money line. I don't know the odds right now, but I believe he's a favorite. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a heavy favorite, but in order to reduce those odds, I'll go Gustafsson by KO straight. I'll just go Gustafsson by KO. I really liked his Dana White Contender Series, and we know when they're making a UFC debut, it's not the highest % chance of winning, but he should be able to win this fight inside the distance. I'll go Andreas Gustafsson to win by KO. Let's go. Punahele Soriano, pillow hands. Punahele Soriano, pillow hands versus Uros Medic, the doctor. Pillow hands, Punahele. Pillow hands, Punahele. Miguel Baeza was wobbled so many times and still never put him out. That's why I call him pillow hands. So the reason why I call Soriano pillow hands is because this guy had Miguel Baeza on the feet, wobbled all over the place, and he still wasn't able to put Miguel Baeza out. I know a lot of people were on Miguel Baeza, including myself, and the fact that Miguel Baeza is just a shell of his former self, gets wobbled, has no chin, he has no right to be in the MMA game at all, but who am I to say? So Soriano is a powerhouse. I know I just called him pillow hands, but let's just say he's a powerhouse, puts people out a division. So, honestly, he's a Division 3 All-American wrestler, but has been taken down 18 times. First round or bust. Drop weight classes to welterweight. Successful debut with wrestling, 5 takedowns against Miguel Baeza, which was a snooze fest. He's fighting Uros, the fan favorite, always up for a good scrap, always in a banger fight, always knows how to fight. One of my favorite fighters, a 100% finish rate in his 10 wins. Kill or be killed. This is why I watch the UFC. Someone called him Medic. Takedown defense is 55%, taken down 7 times by Udeby, so we have to give him some slack. Udeby is a beast who just lost to Mateus Rebecki. Honestly, he's coming off that KO win over Tim Means back in April. Soriano is terrible, but has won as a dog multiple times. Nick Maximov beat Soriano. Now Soriano's at welterweight. He may have more success, but I'll go Medic inside the distance. Medic should be able to keep this fight on the feet. Otherwise, he loses by decision. It should be pick your poison type of fight. Soriano by decision or Uros Medic inside the distance. With a guy with a 100% finish rate, he might win his first decision. So I wouldn't be surprised if you use him as a parlay piece. Maybe it's better to lose him as a parlay piece, but I do like double chance. Uros Medic by KO or on points. I like the over 1.5 if there is a over 1.5. And I think Uros Medic should be able to finish Soriano and pay for what he did to Miguel Baeza. Miguel Baeza wasn't able to do what many of us wanted him to do, but that's why we call the doctor, in order to get the job done. So give me the doctor to finish Soriano inside the distance by KO or on points. Let's go. I'll go second round KO. Ernesta Kareckaite. I hate breaking down this girl, bro. I hate breaking down this girl. You never know what you're going to get with this girl. Ernesta Kareckaite and Nicolle Caliari. So, let's break it down. Nicolle's win over Karine Lamframbosi was very quick with a first round armbar finish, which is by far a very impressive win that put her on the map. Ernesta Kareckaite, solid striker, good footwork, fast hands, good, goes in combos, dances around the cage for 15 minutes. But, okay, so this is going to go the distance. We all know this fight's going to go the distance. The over 2.5 is pretty good. I think majority of us think that this fight's going to go the distance, so it's who's going to win this fight by unanimous decision. Ernesta Kareckaite is a solid striker, good footwork, fast hands, good combos, dances around the cage for 15 minutes, good reach, not good takedown defense at all, excuse me, and no get-up game. Coming off of that loss to Dayon Barbosa in her UFC debut, which some say was a robbery, taking on Nicolle, busy grappler, hard wrestler, strikes, closes distance, works the cage, terrible takedowns, good clinch, some body work. With knees, once on the ground, she goes immediately to side control or mount, but not aggro at all. But she's not aggro at all, and sometimes she loses positions a lot of the time. She doesn't maintain top control, sometimes for not being aggro enough or for being too over-aggressive. So she's very slippery when she's trying to maintain top control. So she's terrible at maintaining top control, and Kareckaite should be able to keep this fight on the feet, but it's terrible grappling versus terrible grappling. If this fight stays on the feet, Ernesta can win by decision, but I do like sprinkling the dog to win by sub over 2.5, but we have to remember Caliari is a submission queen. I'll take money line on either side, but be careful betting Ernesta because she can't defend takedowns if her life depended on it. We just saw Pierre Rodriguez bully Josephine Knudsen. I like Nicolle plus 3.5, but I will say I'm going to be picking Nicolle Caliari. I'm going to go Nicolle Caliari, and I'm going to go for her to win by submission or on points. Her win over Karine Lamframbosi, I recommend all you guys to watch that 2 months and 3 weeks ago on Dana White Contender Series. She's making her UFC debut. She's the underdog. I think she should be able to win this fight and have a successful UFC debut and beat Ernesta Kareckaite. She's not that good, and she's getting fed to this girl for a reason. So let's hope that Ernesta Kareckaite's record moves to 5-2-1, and Nicolle Caliari has a UFC successful debut, specifically by submission. Let's go, Caliari. Let's go. That's actually a pretty good dog. Probably one of my best dogs, most confident dogs. Marco Tulio versus Iho Potieria. Marco Tulio versus Iho Potieria. Tulio's might have been told his fight against Vorsi Belgario on Dana White Contender Series was boring because against Matthew Duclos, he was really trying to get a highlight reel KO. So he fought completely different from his first time on Dana White Contender Series to his second time on Dana White Contender Series. He was really trying to get the KO, shoot the box special, no defense, just swarming and overwhelming an amount of power, looking for that highlight reel against the technician. He would get caught clean. He would get caught clean against a technician, Tulio, if he was doing that against anybody else. But He wasn't, so he was able to have a successful Dana White Contender Series highlight reel KO. Now he's making his UFC debut. So, Tulio leaves himself wide open. Muay Thai striker with a grappling clinch. Marco. So Marco, a good striker, solid grappler. Marco Tulio is a good striker. His striking is unique. His volume is solid, but takes his time finding rage, throwing kicks, good wrestling, take you down on the ground, and to look for a sub. Taking on Ihor Potietra, very unorthodox, super unorthodox fighter. Very loose, decent power, very good accuracy, hands low, terrible takedown defense. He just lost a decision to Cesar Almeida where he had 3 takedowns, and that fight was dirty. Marco should be able to defend takedowns, keep this on the feet. He can also wrestle, but I think the Brazilian should be able to get this done. I mean, it's Brazil versus Ukraine. So, the Brazilian's making his UFC debut. He should be able to have a successful UFC debut. Ihor was wrestling and shooting hard against Almeida, and we know Ihor was able to poke Almeida's eye and kick him in the nuts, I believe, groin shot. So, I wouldn't be surprised if Ihor tries to do that again and tries to mix in a takedown or tries to save his gas tank. I'll go Ihor Potietra. I'll go Marco Tulio to win this fight, and I'll go by KO in the second round. Let's go inside the distance. Cesar Almeida wasn't able to do it, though, so let's see. Come on, do it for Cesar Almeida. Abdulrazak Alhassan versus Cesar Almeida, which is actually kind of funny how they matched this up. They did Ihor Potietra wrong. If you're a fan of Ihor Potietra, I think you're the only one. So, half a unit on Cesar Almeida already. I'm going to be using Cesar Almeida as an anchor. Better yet said now than later. Abdul, a 39-year-old light heavyweight prospect, headhunter, looks for KOs, good judo, but never uses it. Doesn't really mix up his mixed martial arts at all. Coming off of that no contest with Cody Bumdidge, where he hit him in the back of the head and Cody Bumdidge quit. Cesar Almeida is a successful kickboxer, has a win over Poatan, Alex Pereira. Everybody's going to say this in the breakdown. Good on the fight. So he's very good, very clean, good takedown defense against the cage, but Roman Kopylov was able to take him down in the open. So his takedown defense is way better against the cage than it is out in the open. Cesar just beat Ihor Potietra after many eye pokes and nut kicks like Bruno Silva versus Cap. So we know Bruno Silva was doing that same thing that Ihor Potietra was doing Bruno Silva was mostly doing groin shots, and sometimes it was a little dirty and it was a little obvious until he eventually got a point deducted. Ihor Potietra was getting away with it as well. So we know that this tends to stall time, and we know that fighters like that. I believe Cameron Simon was able to do a groin shot against Payne Talbot, and Talbot was saying he was purposely kicking my nuts in order to get more time and get breaks. I could tell he was getting tired. So we know when people do that, it's usually because their opponent is really, really good. So I'm very high on Cesar Almeida. I took him by KO on points. I took Cesar by KO inside the distance. And the double chance is not out yet, but I will be jumping on the double chance Cesar Almeida by KO on points. I already have Cesar Almeida half a unit. By far one of my most confident picks over Abdulrazak Alhassan. I'll go Cesar Almeida by KO on points. I just took money line because you never know with this guy. I mean, this guy wasn't able to finish Ihor Potietra. So who's to say he can finish Abdulrazak Alhassan? Although every fight is different and styles make fights. So give me Cesar Almeida to win this fight by KO on points. Specifically, I'll go by KO. Hopefully he can get the KO. But we know that he has to find his rhythm. So I'll just take money line. Let's go. Magomed Gadzhiyalazulov. So correct me if I'm wrong with that pronunciation. Versus Bruno Lopez. I'll never get the Bruno Lopez pronunciation wrong, though. I'll tell you that. There's so many Bruno Lopez's. Eventually, I'll get the Magomed last name right. But let's go. Magomed. I'll just call him Magomed. We've seen a dominant grappling and technical striking from Magomed before. Not the most exciting, but he's very, very technical. Magomed at -150 is a good price tag. I believe that's what his price tag is right now. I wrote it down just because I thought that was a good money line to jump on. Magomed, well-rounded mixed martial artist, doesn't headhunt, sets up his strikes, looks for the KO in later rounds. Powerful striker, powerful takedowns, can't defend that many takedowns coming off of that UFC win over Brenton Ribeiro, where he had 5 takedowns, and we know Brenton Ribeiro just beat Machado. Taking on another contender series guy, Bruno. Bruno plots forward, throws combos, but slugs way too much. Solid grappler, decent ground and pound, but I think Magomed is a way better wrestler offensively. Maybe not defensively. Lopez has good BJJ. I'll take Magomed money line. Majority Tapology is going Magomed. We have to remember that with these guys who who we don't know like that much, you have to do tape study. You have to watch his tape. You have to watch him against Jose Madea, and you have to watch him against Brenson Ribeiro in order to see how he could do against Bruno Lopez. Maybe you don't have to watch tape study. Maybe tape study's not necessary, but for fights like this, I always watch tape, and I'm going to go Magomed to win this fight by unanimous decision. I think he should be able to win this fight. Unless Bruno Lopez gets completely gassed, he'll probably get finished. But I'm going to say Bruno Lopez is tougher than his own good, maybe too tough for his own good, and is able to survive. He did get finished by KO against Brenson Ribeiro, though, and we know Magomed just beat Brenson Ribeiro, so if you want to do MMA math, put 2 and 2 together. 2 plus 2 equals Magomed to win by unanimous decision. But if he got KO'd by Brenson Ribeiro, who's to say Magomed can't finish him inside the distance? So by KO on points, I do think a sub is likely, but it seems like majority Tapology is going by KO more likely if we have to choose one of the finishes. I'll go Magomed. I'll just take money line at a -150. Give me him to win, and give me him to win in dominant fashion, just like Movsar Evloev. Just give me him to win 30-27. Let's go. Thiago Moises versus Trey Ogden. If you guys are up to this part of the video, guys, drop a fucking like, because this card is ass. All right, Thiago Moises. Well, this fight is actually pretty good. Thiago Moises versus Trey Ogden. Honestly, when I look at Trey Ogden, this guy is a samurai, or samurai, however you want to pronounce it, but his nickname is by far one of his best nicknames. His most recent loss is to Ignacio Bahamondes, who we know just beat Manuel Torres. So Ignacio Bahamondes is an absolute beast. 35 years old versus 29, but the wear and tear seems to be on Thiago Moises' side, who has been in more wars, who has been in more damage, and who has taken more damage and more miles and wear and tear in their fights. I think Thiago Moises has. Ogden always proves me wrong. He beat Daniel Zuber, and he also beat Luke Razibov, however you pronounce it. We all have to give him credit where it's due. Ogden is a black belt. Well, this was the co-main, but it got moved. So I'm happy that the matchmaking got moved and the scheduled bout order is changed. Thiago Moises, because the co-main is way better. Thiago Moises is a rough career, tough as nails, always good in a fight, always performs, and has a lot of wars. He's not even 30, a lot of wear and tear. Slick grappler, has held his own against the champion, against Islam, till he got submitted in the 4th round. Moises has averaged at least 2 takedowns per fight, very good low kicks, very young, coming off of that brutal loss to Ludwig Kline, where we know that was pretty brutal. He was dropped twice and taken down. Taking on Trey Ogden, athletic grappler with solid takedowns and good power grappler, but even when he wins by sub, Trey Ogden usually wins by club and sub. Usually he wobbles his opponent and then gets a submission. Good double legs, way better than Moises. Coming off of that underdog win over Luke Razibov, where he took him down 4 times. Thiago Moises is a good grappler, higher ranked in BJJ, but I believe Trey can take him down and slow down this fight. I like the +3.5 for Trey Ogden, but if you believe he can stay safe in Thiago Moises' guard, you can jump on Trey at a +145 is good, since he cashed as a dog before and shows that he always performs. Very close competitive fight. Trey has momentum. Thiago has fought very tough competition and always hangs in there tough. I think this fight goes a distance, and I believe Thiago Moises is going to get the job done. I will say, though, Trey Ogden has always proved me wrong every single time. I've picked against him over and over again. I mean, other than the Ignacio Bahamondes fight, but I'm going to go Thiago Moises. I think he's more of a dog. I think the only thing is, if he has too much wear and tear, this guy can easily get dropped, and then he could easily get finished. His fight against Benoit Saint-Denis was by far one of my most... That fight was just awesome. Just awesome, the way that fight was able to... The way that fight was able to go. And we know Benoit Saint-Denis has had a rough 2024. So how good is Benoit Saint-Denis? We don't know. Ludwig Kline as well. We know Ludwig Kline is pretty good. And we have to say, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but... Okay. Alright, so this is going to be a very, very good matchup. Yep, Jordan Levitt. So, Trey Ogden has lost to Jordan Levitt by a decision split. I believe he's gotten so much better since then, but we have to mention that because that's a little bit of a red flag. He's able to lose to Jordan Levitt by split decision and then beat Daniel Zellhuber. What the fuck? What the fuck? Bro, you can't make this up. You cannot make... This is by far one of the most hardest picks to make of MMA. This is why, if you're on Tapology and you have a pretty good belt and you're only picking UFC fights, It's pretty impressive to get a high black belt in Tapology. So I'm going to be going, but it doesn't always mean everything. I'm going to go Thiago Moises. Very first pick. I think it's going to be an official pick flip. It might be a pick flip. I recommend take both sides on either slip because this fight's going to go the distance and this fight might get sloppy. Trey Ogden always wins as a dog. I'm going to go Thiago Moises. I'll go for him to win by 29-28, unanimous decision. Let's go. Chris Curtis versus Roman Kopylov. My most anticipated fight. Chris Curtis has had the highest takedown defense at 1 point. Solid power. KO'd Buckley, who we know just beat Kobe. Very good shoulder movement. And a great boxer. Gets hit sometimes. Struggles with a straight shot. And also struggles with a good jab. Looks for a counter too many times. Coming off that close loss to Brendan Allen, where the 5th round was the reason he lost that fight. Where he almost had that fight in the bag, but he got injured, I believe. I'm not sure exactly, but he did get injured pretty bad. I hope he's okay now. A way harder matchup than Brendan Allen. Roman Kopylov, very good kickboxer, but also a very good wrestler. He's 5-3 in the UFC and has beaten everyone who can't take him down. He has an 87% takedown defense, but he won't need it because he's coming off of the decision win over Almeida. So he has an 87% takedown defense, but Chris Curtis is not going to try to take him down. Honestly, he's coming off that decision win over for Cesar Almeida, where he dropped Almeida and took him down 5 times. Chris Curtis is so clean in the pocket, very good boxer, but he never wrestles. Never has a shot, a takedown in his entire UFC career. If you fight Curtis, you don't have to bring your wrestling shoes. Kopylov is the pick. Strike on the feet, then a beautiful takedown. Stall time, Kopylov by decision. Chris Curtis needs a good game plan if he wants to win. This fight will be Kopylov's entry into the rankings. Besides that setback by Fluffy Hernandez, Curtis has been getting injured a lot as well. So we have to mention, where is Chris Curtis in his career? I will say the over 2.5 should hit. This fight should go the distance. And I'll go Roman Kopylov to win this fight by unanimous decision. Although we know Chris Curtis sometimes gets injured. So if he gets injured, it could be a stoppage that is very, very ugly. I'll go Roman Kopylov to win this fight by unanimous decision. Let's go. Moving up the card, Mackenzie Dern, main event versus Amanda Ribas, the rematch. We know Amanda Ribas was able to win the first time around, so let's break it down. Dern broke up with Antonio Ciccoli, who was her husband, and Antonio Ciccoli assaulted her ex-husband. Dern has a kid with her ex-husband, and apparently Ciccoli assaulted Dern's ex-husband while he went to pick up his own daughter from school, and Antonio Ciccoli attacked him. I seen Mackenzie Dern's ex, and bro, that guy's a nice guy, bro. That guy is a nice guy. So the fact that Antonio Ciccoli, I'm glad you lost to Trayshawn Gore, bro, because Dern is a 304, always has been, and she's always been a massive red flag. Rescheduled bout, now the main event. So this changed from 3 rounds to 5. Amanda won their first fight with good takedowns and controlled the fight and controlled the striking department by miles. Dern's is a grappler, good BJJ, and the fight was almost 4 years ago. So we can say that they both got better. Honestly, good BJJ, but she can't get the takedown. Mackenzie Dern has a negative striking differential, terrible 16% takedown accuracy, tough, gets dropped a lot, coming off that close win over Lupita Godinez, where she managed to get 2 takedowns, which is very rare for her. I wonder if Dern is still with Ciccoli. Let's see, who knows. I think she's not with him no more. Let me know. Ribas, very well-rounded. Second main event. 115, strawweight bout. She always does better at 115. I don't like how she moves up in weight. Hopefully she stays at 115. Ribas is a good striker and more well-rounded than Dern. She's more defensive with a 5-3 striking differential, 61% striking defense, 85% takedown defense. Recently lost at 125 to Rose Namajunas, who just lost to Erin Blanchfield. Ribas is what I thought So what Erin Blanchfield did is what I thought Ribas was going to do. I picked Erin Blanchfield, and I picked against Rose because we can see that she never gets better under takedown defense. Amanda Ribas did pretty good against Rose Namajunas. It was a pretty competitive fight, and I think she would do better than what Mackenzie Dern would do. So she was able to take down Rose 4 times in their first fight. So Ribas was able to take Rose down 4 times. 4 times, and I think that was very important. Sorry, I mixed up my words a little bit. The first fight was 4 years ago. Who has gotten better? I feel like Dern is always in competitive split decision fight, and I think Ribas has gotten way better, and she performs way better at 115. She should be able to fight a solid 25 minutes and win by decision. She needs takedowns, but Dern will always be looking for a sub. Dern will struggle to take her down. I think Dern wins at least one round, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ribas struggles with Dern's awkward clinch and strikes. Ribas needs to nullify Dern on the ground, stay defensive, don't get tangled up, and win a hard-fought 25-minute war. Amanda Ribas was the underdog in a 3-round fight, but now that this fight is scheduled to 5 rounds, Ribas is the slight favorite. Ribas by decision, but Dern could get knocked out. So I didn't mention a lot of positives about Mackenzie Dern, but it's because there's not that many positives. If she gets the fight to the ground, she should be able to control it, and we don't want to overlook her, but she is always in a very competitive 3-round fight. I will say I'm going to go Amanda Ribas to win this fight by 48-47, 49-46, and 48-47 unanimous decision, but I will say a knockout is very likely for Ribas. Majority Topology is picking Mackenzie Dern, and maybe that's because she's gotten so much better than what she used to be and when they fought before. Mackenzie Dern's going to be taller, I believe, 5'4", and when they match up, I believe, so a 3-inch reach advantage for Amanda Ribas could be very substantial. One of my most impressive spectating performances that I've spectated from Amanda Ribas was Luana Pinero's spin kick KO. She's losing that fight. She's a little bloody. She's facing adversity. She's trying to walk her opponent down. Luana Pinero seems a little gassed. Amanda Ribas is putting the pressure. She sees that Luana Pinero's moving to the side with her hands low. Spinning head kick. Spinning wheel kick into punches. By far one of the best performances I've ever seen from Amanda Ribas. By far one of her best wins I've ever seen from her. Against Viviane Araújo, she had a very beautiful win as well. Who we know Viviane Araújo just beat Karine Silva, who was my lock of the week at one point. Karine Silva messed up my entire lock of the week. So the fact that Amanda Ribas has beaten former flyweights, who's to say that Mackenzie Dern is not able to get beaten by Amanda Ribas? But we have to say majority Topology is going Mackenzie Dern because of the submission. You know, if Amanda Ribas takes her down, Mackenzie Dern's going to be looking for subs off her back always. And she has very good recovery. Mackenzie Dern got dropped by Amanda Lemos. She got dropped by Jessica Andrade. And she got dropped by Amanda Lemos. But what I like about when she got dropped about Amanda Lemos is after she gets dropped, she looks like the balloon. The balloons that don't have any air. And then they go right back up. Because her recovery is almost like Colby Covington, the way she gets dropped by Kamaru Usman and stands right back up in the rematch. Like Colby Covington got dropped by Usman in the second fight, I believe in the second or third round, gets right back up, and it's just striking, but he doesn't know where he's at. Mackenzie Dern is that same person. She gets dropped by Amanda Lemos, shoots right back up like a spring. Like, she just springs right back up, always looks for a takedown, always just grabbing the ankle, always just trying to go for a scramble. So both of these girls are not quitters. I will tell you that. Both of these ladies will not quit at all. At all. Both of these ladies will not quit. So, I'm going to go Amanda Ribas. I'll go by 49-46, 48-47, and 48-47 unanimous decision. I think she could even finish Mackenzie Dern. Let me know what you guys think. Majority Topology is going Dern. Let's see how the odds are. I believe Amanda Ribas is the favorite. So, let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let's go. Early prediction video. We're back. And, guys, thank you guys for allowing me to be a YouTube partner, guys, because there's going to be a lot more streams and a lot more consistency and a lot more videos dropping. And it's Christmas, so it's a little packed, but I will always be pushing out content. Let me know what you guys want next. And stay tuned for the newly updated prediction video that will be dropping maybe a week before the fights. Let's go. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys for all the support. Peace. Let's go.